Hello, everyone. How are you today? This is Leadership Talk with Adegoke, and this is the 93rd podcast. I believe 93rd. I have with me my good friend from Birmingham, United Kingdom. Can you introduce yourself, sir? Joshua Olale. How are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you. Thank you very much for this honor, and it's been really nice meeting with you and speaking to you. My name is Joshua, resident in the United Kingdom, around the Birmingham area, and I am a John Maxwell leadership coach, and I also am the national vice president of the African Christian Fellowship. And this fellowship, it comprises of students and professionals that come together just to fellowship and to help each other socially and spiritually also. So my journey to leadership has been quite interesting. Well, I know you are also a John Maxwell leadership coach, which is quite good, and I would recommend it to anyone. Really, it is really powerful. Yes. And so my aim is to encourage young people to be better and to do better. So first to be better and
Just
then
before you go into that, because I can see you are charging off. Okay. I love the energy. Now, listen, tell us, who is Joshua?
so Joshua is the firstborn in a family of five,
Wow.
three children. Um, Joshua is an electrical engineer by profession. So Joshua loves football. I'm proudly an Arsenal fan, uh,
Wow.
passionate about football. So now I can brag that I'm an Arsenal fan. It's not been it's not been the case historically. Joshua loves God. I am a man of faith. I am a Christian, and I serve in my church. And I love music also. So love sports, I love music, and just love life in general.
Awesome. 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 Now, tell us, how did you get into leadership?
So as I said, I am the first in a children of three. I have two siblings, and I would say leadership. I had this positional leadership in a way. So when I was young in the African setting, the firstborn has the responsibility, and also I am the first son. So
Wow.
that's an added responsibility, and
Well
so
done.
thank you, sir. And so positional leadership, in a sense, I had to take responsibility whether I liked it or not. And at the point, it was I saw it in a bit in a way as I am not free to do what I want to do because there are some things that is accepted when my younger ones do it, but not with me because I should know better. Pretty much, I should have responsibility.
Hmm.
Then I started learning, and thankfully, of competing or trying to compete with my siblings, I've been placed in a good position, and that's when I started getting into will I say recognizing this leadership capability, and also apart from being the firstborn or being in this positional leadership, I realized that as I grew up, I was whether I liked it or not, I was placed in leadership positions, and so when I sat down and reflected, I realized that there was something in me that people saw to put me in places of leadership. I was a prefect in my secondary school, and as I grew up, I then decided, well, it's one thing to be in that position, it's another thing to be able to make use of that position effectively. And that took learning. So I while I was at uni, I went to a leadership. I had a leadership certification called the Kairos Leadership Academy, and that changed my life. That was
Awesome.
really
Awesome.
helpful. Before now coming into and afterwards, I decided to let's say improve or work kind of like work more on my leadership capabilities, and that led me to join the John Maxwell Leadership Academy. And really, at first, it wasn't to just get the certification; it was to build myself and to develop this capability. And
Awesome.
I've ended up
Awesome.
being a coach.
Awesome. So, how long have you been in the UK?
How long have I been in the UK? So I've been in the UK since 2009, so probably just over. 12 years now.
12 years. Wow.
Yeah.
So you've been in the UK for 12 years. And
Yes.
did you do your secondary school here, or your university?
So I did my secondary school in Nigeria, and I came to the UK to do. So I started an advanced diploma in 2009 when I came, and then took a gap year and moved into university in 2000 and late 2013. And well, not a gap year, a few gap years. And then so finished my university in 2018, and I've been working ever since.
Okay, so you have a master's or just
Yes,
a degree?
a master's in engineering, electrical and electronics engineering.
Wow, awesome,
in
awesome. That's an intellectual for you. So so now we're looking at leadership and Gen Z. Leadership and Gen Z. What is leadership to you?
So just breaking it down very simply. Leadership is influence, as John Maxwell would say. And so each and every one of us have got this ability to influence situations, influence change in a way, both positively and negatively, in a way. But
Absolutely, yeah.
we are looking at positive influence in this sense. So very simply, leadership is influence, and it's the ability to make people do, in this sense, positive things without coercing or forcing them. And so it's by making them see the effect of what they can do, of how they can do it, and encouraging them to do it.
Awesome. So now, what is Gen Z? What is Gen Z to you?
Well, Gen Z to me, what they're different debates and different points of view. Some people say it's from 97 to 2012, but also some people say, well, even the people born recently, as at the latest 2022, could also be classified as Gen Z. So I'll just say people probably less than 20, 27 years and below, down to the newborn, I classify them as Gen Z.
Oh, awesome. So now, what's your experience regarding Gen Z? I mean, we have millennials, we have the baby boomers,
Yeah.
Different generations. In fact, some people even work with about 5 generations in their place of work. So talk about Gen Z. What is it about Gen Z really?
I
Their
think
culture, their beliefs, lifestyle.
I think Gen Z, they are very special people, very interesting people. These people they're also called the digital natives. They're quite tech savvy, and they were born when the internet kind of like really took up, and so they didn't know any other way. They didn't know any time before the internet. So when they were born, they were able to use the internet was available. And so this type of people, they are more comfortable with online learning. They are really good with social media, and so they have flexible learning. They can learn in different ways, really. Most of the time, they learn by just watching YouTube, pretty much. And these people also, they have very high tolerance for risk. So these are the type of people you see investing in crypto. These are the type of people you will see being businessmen, going into entrepreneurship in different ways, very creative ways. Those are the type of people you see in extreme sports, even. So I was watching a video recently of a guy or a 10-year-old actually, who did the double flip on a scooter. And that hasn't been done before, and that's the first time recorded that a 10-year-old did it. And so these people, they take very high level of risks, and also these people they are value driven, and
Wow.
they're really value driven, and their values aligns with their morals. And so a lot of them you see in activism. A lot of them you see they really stand up for what they believe in. So even in the places of work, they stand up for what they believe in. So but also kind of, will I say, on the negative side, but not really negative, it's a challenge. But because of this period, they've experienced different will I say different dips, different worldwide issues in a way, with COVID, with the 2008, in a sense, the crash, the housing crash, the current economic downturn, the conflicts going on in the world. So sometimes these people sometimes are characterized by a feeling of uncertainty. They don't know what's coming next.
Wow. So
So
they go through overwhelm. Yeah.
yes. So and what I found out is they are really resilient people because of this um, different challenges that have come their way. They're still living and they're still thriving. So in a way, they're quite resilient people. So that's kind of some of the things I've kind of learned working with Gen Z and just studying them. Really.
Awesome. If you just joined us, this is Leadership Talk with Adegoke, and we're looking at leadership and Gen Z. And I have with me an engineer, a man of so many parts, also a leader in the diaspora, speaking all the way from Birmingham in the UK, Joshua Olale. Now, I want you to speak to this. What's the relationship, in terms of leadership and Gen Z? I mean, where do they meet?
So something I've learned about Gen Z, as I said, they are really value driven, and with regards to leadership, both them being leaders and also looking up to leaders, they don't just follow people who just talk. So they want you to back your talks with action.
Hmm.
So they won't really follow you if they can't see the corresponding action to what you're saying. In fact, they will campaign against you in a sense. So
Wow.
so it's I think it's backing up your words with action, and also I think they highly respect people who have this servant leadership
Hmm.
mentality, who can lead them, but at the same time give them a freedom to be creative in the different sense. So give them a structure, but in that structure, allow them to be creative, allow them to be themselves. And so the authoritarian kind of leadership is totally different from the way they see things. And so they're in a way you sometimes people will say that they don't respect authority. Not necessarily that is the sense that this authority that is trying to control them or trying to ask them to do something is not actually doing what they're saying or we should do. And so in that sense, they turn
So they're
against.
very observant. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So and in a sense, how can then, because there are a lot of Gen Z who are in leadership positions now. And one example is the recent news we had of this U.S. congressman, the newest U.S. congressman, Maxwell Frost. Um, he got into the Congress in the United States at the age of 25, and that's quite incredible. And so
Congressman elect. Yeah.
yeah, congressman elect. So so what? How can they make a difference, or how can people Gen Z make a difference? I think first is that you should believe that you are not too young to make a difference. You are not too young to make a change. A lot of
Wow.
times, those set of people they kind of think this self-defeating things. Well, no one listens to me, or I'm too young to make a change. And I was speaking to some young people who are looking at a course. The name of the course was Global Change. I was facilitating the course, and we looked at different instances of people, of very young people, making massive changes in the world, in their local community. And whether you support Greta Thunberg or not, you could see that she has made a massive change. She has changed the way people look at climate change.
Yeah, that's right.
And so, these young people, you need to first believe that you can make a change. And then, when you believe that, you then need to take personal responsibility for your growth. So it needs to start with yourself before you can change others. And you just start with the little things. There's a guy I listen to. He's an Admiral William McRaven, and he said something very simple. He said, "Well, before you think about changing the world, you need to learn to lay your bed every morning. You need to learn to lay your bed every morning." And that kind of like struck me in the sense that you need to take a personal responsibility of making sure where you are staying or where you are
Amazing.
is where you are is you need to take responsibility for the cleanliness of those things. And when you take those responsibility, it creates a sense of fulfillment. You're able to do those little things, and then you can build on it. And so, another thing you can do as Gen Z to make a change or to make a difference or to become a leader, to make influence, is to take responsibility for community building initiatives.
Wow.
For community building initiatives. I'll use myself as an example. So I came into the country in 2009, as we said at the beginning, and by 2011, I won an award. I lived in Reading at the time, so I won an award as the Pride of Reading, the Young Person of the Year. And this is me coming.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. This is me coming from Nigeria, and coming to the United Kingdom, and I saw a need in the community. So I volunteered for Age Concern in the UK. I was teaching the elderly people how to use the computers, and also not just using the computers, but just being a companion to them, just speaking to them and just listening to what they have to say. At the same time, I was teaching people how to play drums, and I was also doing some other fundraising. And it was, I saw this need, and I didn't say, well, I'm from Nigeria and this thing, I don't know how the country work and everything. I just threw myself into it. I think later on in 2000,
Awesome.
in 2012, I actually did a massive fundraising. I challenged myself. But what am I trying to say? I will speak on that later on. What am I trying to say? I took responsibility for a need I saw in the community, and I decided I was going to make a change. I'm going to put myself out there to make this change. And I was rewarded in a way by being given that award as the Young Person of the Year. And so we can do that. It doesn't need to be something big. It doesn't need something massive. If you start from somewhere small and you see that you are actually making a difference and making a change, and then you don't know how far that could go. And also,
Wow. Go ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
also you make you make effective use of the available resources or available tools to create change. And as I said, we at the Gen Z, you are really tech savvy. You know how to use these things, and you may think it's nothing much. Well, I just use my phone, and it's something quite very important. And it makes me, it kind of took me back. As I said, I'm a Christian. It took me back to the Bible, and I was looking at Moses when he was leading the Israelites, and the Egyptians were pursuing them, and there was the Red Sea in front of them, and Moses was crying unto God and saying, "Oh God, we're going to die. Oh God, what can we do? This is a difficult situation or an impossible situation." But then I like what God said. God said, "What's in your hand? What's on your hand?" And Moses only had a rod. He
Wow.
had a rod, and this rod, you might say, "Well, it's just a walking stick, or it's just this," and but God was reminding him that, well, this was the same rod that swallowed the magician's rod, or the snakes, and this simple rod that you see could wrought mighty wonders. And we could see he stretched out his rod, and the sea parted. And so relating it to us young people, what's in your hand? You've got this phone, you've got social media, you've got different apps and different tools that you could use to create change. You could create change personally, by changing yourself, and that's where leadership starts from, by working on yourself before working on others. So watching videos that could help you learn new stuff, by making changes locally wherever you are, and by making changes internationally. And so, as I said, Michael Frost made those changes, and some of the strategies he used was social media, was Twitter, was YouTube, was TikTok. And how did he do that? He was able to clearly show his manifestos. He was able to reach out to these people and bring them in to be part of what he's trying to be,
Wow.
or what he's
Wow.
trying to tell.
Amazing. Now, I just wanted to tell us, you cycle from the UK to France.
Yes.
For 3 days. Tell us the experience. Yeah.
Oh yes,
What led you to it? Yes.
so it was part of me making a change, or part of me doing something in my own capacity to make the lives of other people better. And I work for a charity called Prior Scott Foundation, and they help people, severely autistic children, and they try to make them, integrate them, or teach them, and make them able to relate with the wider community. And so I saw that was a really good thing they were doing, and I decided to raise funds for them. But not only raising funds for them, I decided to challenge myself, because prior to doing that, I don't think I've cycled over 5 miles. And so I said, well, I want to push myself to do even something bigger. And you never know what you could achieve if you don't push yourself. And that was the lesson I got there. And I cycled for 3 days.
Wow.
I was the youngest. I was the youngest there, and I was, in a sense, because I was new to the country, I was the only African, or the only person of color actually, that took part in that challenge.
Amazing.
And so yeah, I cycled for 3 days. It was fun. It was really challenging, but it was worth it. I raised over £1,500 for the
Wow.
charity, and yes, it was really, really good. And in a way, I kind of learned that the limit you see is what you place on yourself. And so if you
The limit you see is what you place on yourself.
yes,
Come on.
because we are limitless, and
Awesome.
and also with the fact that I've got God. I'm a person of faith, as I keep saying, and the Bible says, with God, nothing is impossible. And
Shall
so,
be impossible.
yes. So when I think about that, I realize
Amazing.
that I have an unlimited potential, and if is whatever I did, if wherever I place myself, that is where I stay. So I just need to keep pushing myself. I just need to keep working on myself. I need to keep challenging myself, and I'll be surprised at how far I can go.
Wow. We've had, this is almost 23 minutes.
Wow.
And, like I promised you, it's just going to be for 30 minutes, but it's power packed. You just joined us. This is Leadership Talk with Adegoke. And we're looking at leadership and Gen Z. And we have on the platform a friend and a fellow John Maxwell leadership coach, speaker, and trainer, Joshua Alale, an engineer, an amazing leadership coach as well, speaking on this very interesting topic, leadership and Gen Z. Now, I want you to just speak to any leader out there.
Yeah.
On 3 things a leader can do, how to lead Gen Zs. Thanks.
So 3 things you can do. Well, before I go into the 3 things, there's something really important that I need to point out. Before you can lead, or before you can lead effectively, there's one very important advice, and that advice is to have a mentor. Have a mentor. And that is really important, because the mentors are people who have gone through those paths that you are planning to go through, and they've seen it, and they could give you advice so that you can stand on their shoulders to even do more. You learn from their mistakes, you learn from their successes also, and you can actually build on those things to do even more. And you're coupled with your strength as a Gen Z with the wisdom of your mentors, and that goes a really long way. So 3 things you can do. The first thing is work on yourself, personal leadership. Work on yourself, and that takes discipline. That takes consistency. And so just consistently working on yourself, just adding that 1% to yourself every day. And by the end of the year, you realize that you've actually gone a lot further than you expected.
Okay, that's number 1. So what are the 2 other things?
So the other 2, collaborate with people. The second one is collaborate with
Wow. I love that. I love collaboration, and that's why I'm showing up with you. I love to collaborate. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And I really do love collaborating also. And I've been in circles where I've learned so many new things because I've collaborated with someone else. And also, I think the third thing is always be humble, humility, and
Wow.
honor. So
Wow.
humility brings honor, because when you know that you don't know it all, you will be able to give the honor to the people who you know that know something you need.
Wow.
And something I've learned about honor is that honor unlocks the key to secrets that you would have spent years or a lot of
To
money
to discover.
to discover. And so having that humility that I still have a lot to learn, even though I've learned quite a bit, there's still more to learn for me to grow. And having that
Awesome.
growth mindset,
Awesome.
that's
Awesome. This has been power packed.
thank you
Now,
very much.
just have two more questions.
Yes,
But
sir.
before then, I just want to let our listeners and viewers know that, both of us were professionals. Um, my name is Adegoke Omotola, the host of this podcast, Leadership Talk with Adegoke. I run courses on Udemy, all-class customer service, udemy.com. I also have professional selling skills. My books, I've authored 2 books, Selling in Crisis on Amazon and Customer Retention and Experiential Approach. So you can always, reach out to those platforms. And also past episodes of Leadership Talk with Adegoke, which is available on Spotify and Amazon. On Apple as well. You can lean in and get enough information. Now, very quickly, please, can you tell us how can we reach you? How can our listeners reach you?
So, well, you can reach me by subscribing to my YouTube channel. It's called Joshua Olaleye Big Josh, B.I.G Josh. Or you can follow me on Instagram with just Big Josh. That's B.I.G Josh. And also I'm on Facebook, also Joshua Olaleye Big Josh. Yeah, and that's how you can reach me. Or you can send me an email also at bigjoshkaizen@gmail.com.
Um, in 30 seconds, what would you like to say to our listeners?
I would like to just say that you are incredible, you are worth it, and there is a lot of gift placed in you that the world needs to see. And so I just need you to believe that you can be better and start working on yourself to be better. And you'll be surprised at how much you can achieve.
Wow, this has been power packed. On behalf of myself and Josh, would like to just appreciate our listeners. This has been Leadership Talk with Adegoke, Leadership and Gen Z. Thank you, everyone. Do you want to say bye-bye to our audience?
Thank you very much, and bye bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. Have a great day.